Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Comic Source. I'm your host, Jace. We have a pre-San Diego Comic-Con episode, if you will. We've been doing them all week. And the guests I have on today are here to tell us about an exciting new publisher. They've been around for a little while. You've probably heard of some of the initiatives they've done with Whatnot. But they're here to talk about the company overall, what their mission is, and this dropping the Monday before San Diego Comic-Con. We're calling it Massive Mondays, and you may be getting a lot more of these Massive Monday episodes going forward, because as I said, there's a lot of exciting things to come. So let's do some quick introductions here. We'll start with you, Michael. Why don't you let everybody know who you are and what you do at Massive?
Yeah, Michael Calero. I'm the CEO and co-publisher of Massive Publishing, which is a really fancy way of saying I do a ton of jobs. So I do some writing, I do some editing, I do some drawing, together with Kevin, set the direction for the publishing brand overall. But yeah, it's wear a lot of hats at Massive, all of us.
And how about you, Kevin?
Yeah, present co-publisher with Michael, and I write as well. I just did Washing of Blood. The issue number 3 just released in comic book stores, and more coming up. Other series, other stuff we'll do, but also, well, like Michael, wear a lot of hats and really active on the marketing side personally. So yeah, that's who we are. And Massive Mondays. Let's go.
Yeah. So let me throw it.
You're the marketing guy.
Yeah, 100%. Which you have to be these days, right? Like, it's a crowded marketplace. You got to kind of fly your flag. And kind of on that note, Michael, let people know what is Massive. You know, we say it's a comic book publishing company, but what's kind of your mission statement? What is it that you guys are trying to achieve in the market?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting, especially with kind of some of the recent kind of moves in the industry. You know, we really kind of pride ourselves on being independent comic book publisher that really focuses on creator-owned books for the most part, and really just trying to run a publishing company the way that as creators we would want to be a part of a publishing company. That's really kind of the mission statement, is to do right by creators and to put out fun books.
We know it's a crowded marketplace, Kevin. There's all kinds of great books out there, but it's not always easy to get them in front of fans, in front of readers, or people to even know about them. And I think that's especially true when you're first starting out. You kind of need to get some name creators, create a little buzz, and what have you. So what are some of your ideas? What are some of your plans to keep Massive growing and keep putting out great books and just have it stand out from the other smaller publishers out there?
Yeah, I mean, our kind of philosophy since the beginning, always been doing everything with passion and in love for the books and the creators behind. And I mean, I feel for an indie publisher, it's what you need, just because that's a medium that is all about passion. I'm sure that everyone watching the show, well, if you're sitting there just listening to publishers about comics because you love comics, it's same for you. I think first you're a reader, you're a collector, and that's why you started the show. And that's the difference of comics and any other mediums. Everyone involved, starting from the readers, are all involved in the process. There is no other industry that the reader is that close to a superstar creator in that medium. But in comics, you can just go. Well, we are talking about San Diego Comic-Con. You can just walk to the table and say hi to that guy. But if we talk about films or music, there is no way if you go to the table to say hi, you will probably get jumped by 23 securities. But that's the difference with comics. There is a proximity between the readers, the retailers, the podcaster. Everyone is in the same group and moving together to actually preserve that passion all together. And that's all we started as publisher. We were fan first. I've been a retailer as well, and then I started to be a creator and started being a publisher because we are all part of that industry, and I think we all move in that direction. And that's all we've been operating as publisher. It's fan first, and when we are the fan of someone or the work that we see, we know as being fan first that this is something that we believe that can sell in the market.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Kevin, and I agree with you 100%. Another way of putting it, maybe you can speak to this, Michael, is we're talking about community, right? Like there already is a comic community, and it's a great community to be a part of. As Kevin said, creators are approachable. A lot of times they're fans as well. They're reading other books, and so you can kind of relate to them, even if you're not a creator, not a content creator, you're not in press or whatever, but you're just a reader. You just love comics. You still have common ground with those creators because they got into it because they love comics. Nobody says, "Oh, you know what? I want to get rich. I want to be a millionaire. I know what. I'll become a comic creator." Like never, ever, as anybody said. They don't do it to make money.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I think if they did, they would have been quickly disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're talking about, really, Massive is sort of publishing is sort of an extension of that, right? That sense of community, building a community. Get us all pulling in the same direction. We all want great stories. We all want great art. We all want great comics, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really, to be honest, that's kind of the biggest hurdle right now with comics is, like, even though we have instant access and, you can send someone a direct message, you can show up at their table, like, it also feels really disconnected sometimes. There's an element of, like, trying to figure out what fans are looking for without knowing, right? Like, it's not like you have a fan in that room telling you, like, this is the kind of book that I want, right? So a big part of what we do is really try to, like, look at, like, what's missing from the market and then what things, like, excite us as fans, right? So if a book comes across our table or gets sent to our email, and it's a pitch and it's something where we read it and we're like, okay, like, I've seen that. I like, there's a lot of books like that at Image, or there's a lot of books like that, like that at, Dark Horse. Sometimes that pushes us the other direction and we're like, okay, let's find something that, like, if there's a fan out there who's underserved right now, let's find something for them. So there's really a lot of, like, variety in what we do.
And I think that probably informs who you partner with as well, right? Like I mentioned, you've partnered with Whatnot in the past, and some other big name creators. The Exiled book, which is tied to Wesley Snipes, obviously a name that people know. When you're talking about building this community, I think that does extend to who you partner with. So, who are some of the other platforms that you've partnered with, and if you can tease any future partnerships that, again, just trying to reach more readers and get these incredible stories in the eyes of future fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, Whatnot's obviously one that people associate with us because that was the first partnership we had. And it was, the thing that was really interesting was when we launched with Whatnot, that it was just that one partnership that we were focused on, and it was very, like, we were able to put all of our kind of, like, ammunition into that, right? And then, as we then branched out as Massive as a collective group, and having that be the branding, it opened it up to partner with a lot of really interesting folks. We did a partnership with Sumerian over the last year, which has seen a lot of their, like, licensed books come out in single issues, so, like, American Psycho, the Bad Omens series was a really big hit. We did some licensing ourselves with Zorro. We did the Zorro Kickstarter last year, which was, like, just really blew us away. The response for that definitely comes with a ton of work, because we're really trying to make give people value for backing the Kickstarter we did for that. So we've been really kind of going all out on that for the last couple months, getting that ready to get out to folks. And now we're doing Popeye, which is another licensed book we're really excited about. It's such a classic, and did I cut out there? There we go. To kind of be able to put our kind of stamp on it is really cool. And we have a couple books that we're announcing for San Diego that are some really cool partnerships that are coming up. So when we talk about San Diego, I think we'll be able to jump into those a little bit more.
Great. So what's interesting when you talk about, and that Zorro book, and You know, Sean Gordon Murphy obviously has his fans, but I still don't think that book would have blown up as much just on his name recognition. There's a lot of what you guys did, like we were talking about earlier, getting your name out there, letting people know about the campaign. But what I think is really interesting and people should pay attention to is the amount of hard work you guys are putting into it to make sure, like you said, everybody gets the value for their investment for backing the campaign. It's like you guys feel a responsibility. I will use that word because that's what's coming across. You guys feel a responsibility not just to make the book the best it can be, to present the creators in the best light, but again, going back to that idea of community, right? Like if we're all on the same page, we're all on the same team, we're all fans. When you back something, you want, you know, good value, right? So I love that you guys feel this sense of responsibility to always do your best, always push yourself to give, you know, the best product with the best story, the best art, all that. Would you say that's true, Kevin? Am I hitting the nail on the head there?
Yeah, there's kind of a like internal, like I'll let Kevin say, we have an internal motto about how we treat our books. So it's
always do better than Taco Bell.
Let's just find a way to bring up Taco Bell in these things. All right, no, we always treat it. We treat every book like it's like the flagship book, right? Like it's the main book in our catalog. So with that does come there is a like, you know, we want to kind of go the extra mile for all these books, and you know, and to be honest, like you kind of bring up an interesting point, like you know, Sean Gordon Murphy, we could probably have, you know, to be honest, we could have phoned it in.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could be like, oh yeah, it's a Sean Gordon Murphy book. He has a bunch of fans. Let's just put it out there and see how it does. But like what we really wanted to do was say like, okay, how do we put together a campaign that has all these really cool like different tiers that like, you know, there's a whole masterclass edition for the book, which is like, you know, getting like, basically taught by Sean, like it's a textbook at the end of after the comic book, which is really cool. And like when I was proofing, going through and reading it, like, you know, even though I've been in this business for a while, I was still like gaining knowledge from that content. So, you know, something like that, it's really cool to say like, okay, we that was something where we, you know, Sean was really adamant about wanting to do something like that. And we really like wanted to make sure that was something we brought to the campaign, like these really high end aspects. And yeah, so I mean, Kevin can talk more about on like the individual books, like where that mindset comes in, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like being creator first, because everyone behind at Massive are actually creators. Like there is no on the editorial staff that is not a creator as well. And obviously, being a creator, we all been through, you know, like having a release that doesn't have like necessarily like the support or just like, you know, we hear dozen of stories from creators every day about the treatment of stories, and obviously, like for us, it's really important as a publisher that we want to, you know, the release to be treated as if we were the creator of that book, and that we would be proud and just like be like in the state that we're like, oh, I know my publisher did something for my release. You know, that's the most important thing when you sign a deal. Now you are a partner on that release, and you know you have stuff that you need to do as a publisher. And because the goal number one of releasing a book, obviously, is to bring revenue to your company and the creators, but it's also like to do good, even like, you know, obviously it's publishing, so not all the release can be in 100,000 units, you know, or dollars or whatever, but the goal there is actually to reach out, to reach the audience, and just to find like the people that could be interested by that property and develop the fan base. And it's really, and it's comics, so obviously there is not a budget of Warner Brothers when you release 300 million budget, but just going on a show like that is where we you know, even if we get one new reader and then there's a word of mouth that just turn into like 100 other readers, we never know who can be listening, or just like we never know who we can, you know, let's be honest, like we are not at the biggest, you know, period of comics ever in readership. So I think as a publisher, we have that mission actually to just share the passion that we have for comics and, you know, bringing new people into comic books. And that's the mission for us as a publisher, is bring awareness to the medium of comics, and comics is alive. There is great stuff going on, and just being sure that like everything that we release, that we believe in, that we find the right way to actually reach out the audience. For example, when we did Astrobots, which is written by like Simon Furman, one of the greatest like Transformer writer ever, we did go to a bot convention where there was like a BotCon. There you go. And not the other bot, the bot, the mechanic one. But at BotCon, we met all those fans that like are a big fan of robots and Transformers and anything like Transformer adjacent. And we were like, this is going to be like the next cool robot that you're going to love, guys. And we were giving advance copies away and just like, hey, this is dropping at your comic book stores, because we decided to jump into, the publishing of a series. We believe in it. And we believe that like the audience that love that book could do it, So we did stuff like that. And we really tried to always find a way to be creative with the release. Obviously, like a Popeye, we did the Free Comic Book Day. Obviously, it's not the most creative one, but it's the most effective one in the comic book industry. But what we try to always give our best to do stuff. And at San Diego, we will be announcing and be creative with the release of one of our upcoming titles. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about San Diego here in a little bit, everybody. If you're watching this on the day of release, it's only 2 days away. Wednesday preview.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm already like, just you saying it like that just made me freak out. Like, I know it's not 2 days from now, right? But now I feel like it is.
Oh man, I'm sure you guys are as well, but I'm so under, man. I have so much to do before then. But yeah, I definitely wanted to have you guys on before, because again, you hear what Kevin is talking about here, reaching new readers, right? Any longtime listeners of this podcast, whether you watch us on YouTube or you listen on the audio feed, whatever, you know that's what I'm all about, right? I believe there's a comic book out there for every human on this planet. I think everybody should be reading comics. That's what it's all about, reaching the next generation of readers, getting people to understand that, hey man, you like TV, you like movies, that's because you like story, and comics is the greatest medium. There's no budget, there's no special effects budget, there's no limit but your imagination, and everybody should be reading comics. So that's exactly why I'm having these guys on, and exactly why I want to do these massive Mondays at least a few times a month going forward, so what these guys are up to. You've heard them talk about the responsibility they feel to put out the best books possible. So let's flip it over, right, and look at it from the creator's standpoint. If you're an aspiring creator, just based on what you guys have already said about being creator first, you guys are creators yourself. Let's run the company the way, and treat creators the way we want to be treated as creators and what have you. So that's all great. And I think it'll draw people that want to be creators to Massive and want to do their projects under Massive. But let's talk a little more nuts and bolts. What are some of the other kind of support that you offer for aspiring creators who are just starting out, whether that's editorial or what have you? And then also another thing that I think everybody's sort of aware of now, with comic books sort of being at the center of pop culture, at least for a while. Maybe they've drifted away from that a little bit. But what are we talking about in terms of like creator rights? Does everybody retain all the rights? Is it shared with Massive? Do you guys get a percentage? Like, again, I know we're getting a little into the nitty gritty, but I think that's a question that aspiring creators are going to have.
No, I mean, it's a great question. And it's also like, there's a lot of ambiguity with a lot of publishers about what the deal is. Like once you know someone who's worked at a publisher, you can find out like, okay, what's their deals like. But for someone coming in, if you're coming in new to the industry or trying to figure out like, what's the best fit, there's a lot of different upsides and downsides to different publishers. For us, we try to be really flexible with our deals. And a big part of that goes back to what Kevin was saying, is like, we know that not every creator wants to, is in a spot where they want to give away ownership in IP. They might want just support on the like editorial and distribution side. And then you might have another creator that, isn't as precious with the IP rights, but, needs to have like an advance for a book or something like that to be able to create the book that they're looking for. So we tend to kind of go into each partnership or each book that we're working on with an open mind. But we do have kind of like, here are the common deals that we do, and probably the most common is a really traditional creator-owned deal where the creator keeps all of their rights, and we just work in revenue. And with those, like even though we're not, we're not getting the IP rights, we still treat it like something like we want to see that thing get made into a show. We want to see that book have a long life. We want the creators to have the best book. So we do, in a lot of our partnerships, try to figure out what's the thing that's lacking in the pipeline of that creator, whether it's like they need an editor who can go through and kind of help them punch up like the flow of the book, or maybe it's just a matter of like needing help with getting variant covers and getting some cool guest artists on there. But yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways that we've partnered with folks in just a short amount of time. Like almost no two deals we've done have been exactly the same, because there's always some kind of thing that's special about each project.
Yeah, so I like that approach, right? Each creator's different. Their needs are going to be different. So no reason to have a boilerplate contract. Again, I think it speaks to just having the respect for the creator and the property, right? And the idea and the project. Because, yeah, even if you guys don't have any ownership, it's still super cool if something that has that massive trade dress on it that came out under massive becomes a hit TV show or big tentpole movie or something. You guys will get the credit for recognizing what a fantastic idea it was first. That's great.
Well, and it ends up like helping all the other titles out too, right? Like one thing gets turned into a show, and now there's eyes on your other properties and the other creators you're working with.
Yeah, so obviously, if there is a show, the book sale should go up as well, from that book. Should.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah, 100%. So I know a lot of you are like, okay, tell us about San Diego. Tell us about San Diego. We're going to get there. But first, you mentioned a couple books. We mentioned Exile. We mentioned Popeye. Kevin, what are some of the other books that are currently part of the massive catalog that you can go to the website and check out or what have you?
Sure. Well, we had Luchaverse Catalyst #1 releasing yesterday, so that's a cool partnership we did with Mask Republic. And in the #1, you're gonna find Rey Mysterio, so the GOAT,
the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
the greatest of all time. So every issues there was two legendary or like really well known luchador. Going on some like crazy adventure. It's not like your typical wrestling, comic book that we seen from licensing. This time we go back to the origin of like Mexican cinema, and we go deep into like the superhero quest. They fight aliens, monsters, all crazy stuff you can imagine from like a movie from Blue Demon from back in the day. So it's a modern take on that type of cinema.
Yeah,
and obviously. Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, that one, like, to kind of talk about kind of interesting, like, how not every deal is the same. Like, so that was a series that Mass Republic had put out as like a direct to market series, written by Marco Lopez, and it was something that like it had kind of like its core fan base, but had never been released at like on a retail level. And so that was like kind of our partnership with Mass Republic was really like, how do we get these books that you've had success with in like live events and conventions and direct to consumer sales, and how do we get those into comic book shops all over the country in North America and internationally. So that's a really exciting title for that reason, that it's like, really seeing like it's showing that like it doesn't have to be, there's not just one roadmap to how a book gets out there.
Yeah, 100%.
And Remga next week, awesome book that we follow a new sport in the near future. It's really exciting. Like fan of Rollerball, or like Alita Battle Angel, and anything like in that vibe that you find like the the personal drama of the main character, mix it with like a futuristic sport. You're gonna like that book. The guys really did go all in on like the production and the lore of the book. You feel the passion from this creative team. We got Assassin's Creed with Lunac and Ubisoft, obviously one of the biggest franchise of all time in the video game space. The Nerd Valley Grimoire with Blake Northcott. We had obviously plot holes also with Sean Gardner Murphy. We already talked about Zorro. And Quested by
Oh, I think I'm breaking up.
yeah, you did. What did you say?
Yeah, I was just saying, I think we both went to plug each other's books at the same time.
Oh shit, that's cute.
Well, I do specifically want to mention right before we start talking about San Diego, not just traditional sequential comics, right? Art books as well.
Yeah. We that was a new partnership that we launched a few months back with Printed in Blood, and that's kind of kind of like with Mass Republic. It was something where they do these amazing, beautiful art books. And up until now, they've only ever been available direct to consumer through their website or through Kickstarter. So, we said let's take these books that up until now were kind of like you had to be really in the know to find them, and let's put those in front of retailers and see if they want to carry them. And like our first book with them, which was the Bernie Wrightson book. I don't know if we've reported this yet, but that we found out it just sold out. And so that whole first print run that they had, we sold it out at retail before it even got to FOC, so there's a lot of really cool stuff, that we're doing with different types of, creators and companies. And, Kevin was saying, like, we have, we've been lucky to, be able to do something like Assassin's Creed. That's like one of the biggest video game franchises in the world. And then at the same time, like, put something like Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer into comic book shops and really see like a book that's like really just the creator owned original property blow up. Like that book did as good as any of our big licensed books did at retail. So it's just really cool to see that response for the different types of things we're doing.
Yeah, again, it comes back to responsibility. These are good ideas. They deserve a wider audience. You almost feel the responsibility to, again, put out the best book possible, be sure the creator's taken care of, and just try to get this in front of eyes, get it in front of readers, create fans, create a buzz. Because, sometimes the best ideas that, they go by the wayside because people just don't know if people knew about them. Kind of like to throw it way back to like nerd cred, right? It's kind of like the Firefly problem, right? Like Firefly just has this huge cult following. One season. Nobody watched it at the time. It got terrible ratings. That's why Fox canceled it. But if only people had known, they would have showed up for it. It would have, had multiple seasons. Who knows how long it would have lasted. Kind of the same thing here. So, all right, everybody. We know you're anxious to hear about San Diego Comic-Con plans. You're going to be there. You want to go to the massive panels. You want to know about any news that's going to be announced there. So we probably can't give away everything, but let's give us some teases. Let's know. Let everybody know what the plans are for San Diego Comic-Con for Massive.
You wanna? Well, yeah. So we're so as far as kind of our big push at Comic-Con this year, because we've really done Comic-Con very different every year. The first year we went as a company, it was like an exiled focused booth. We had, really a laser focus on that title, and we had like a smaller footprint on the floor. And then the next year we did this big 20 by 20 booth, and we had a whole like video rental store design, and we really like leaned into like, how do we get across the vibe of Massive. And I think this year, what we're kind of like the focus we have are on, we're focusing on a few new titles. We're kind of like scaling back on like how much stuff we're bringing, and we're saying, okay, here is like the coolest thing we have for each of these things. So we have a few ashcans that we're going to be dropping there for new titles that are going into the catalog. I think next month's catalog for one of them. So we haven't put out actually by now we would have put out the announcement. One of those is another project with Mass Republic, which we're really excited about, which is Vampiro, which is like this, very like action horror, almost like Grindhouse kind of vibe to it. And so we're going to be having an ashcan for that at the show at our booth, and then we're also going to be doing a signing with the wrestler himself at their booth on Friday, right? Yeah. And then we have another project that we're announcing in the next couple days that we'll have an ashcan for, and we're going to have a bunch of like cool treatments for covers and make it really like if you were at Comic-Con, you picked that thing up, like you got something really special. We have like a one-of-one cover that is just, you have to see it in person to know that it's possible to have a cover like that on a comic. But then we're also bringing a lot of really great exclusives for our titles. So we have, and Kevin, jump in here if you remember ones. I feel like
the list is long.
Yeah, I know. So we're going to have exclusives for like My Book Quested. We're going to have a Ken Lashley variant of the first Quested issue, and it has a bunch of really cool treatments. We're going to have some exclusive Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer books, exclusive American Psycho cover dropping at the event, which we've been like holding on to that cover for a while, so it's exciting to finally put that out. We've got, oh man, of course I'm like, I've got so many things in my head. I'm trying to blank.
And I have not seen the final thing that you sent the printers.
yeah, no, that's the thing. We sent
I don't want to say stuff
that I'm like, okay, like what? No, yeah. So we have, and we have exclusives for Astrobots, for Lamar. We've got
beautiful one too.
We've got your Washed in the Blood.
Clockwork Orange poster.
Clockwork Orange exclusive. Yeah, so we're doing a lot of exclusive covers for our series, trying to bring like interesting things people haven't seen. And then also at the same time, really trying to just be there to talk to creators and really be a part of the community, like we were saying earlier, and be a part of the madness that is San Diego.
Yeah.
But I think the big one that I think we could talk about it. I think by this time the news will be out.
Yeah.
So we're partnering. One of our newest partnerships that we're really excited about is we're partnering with Devil's Due Studios. So veteran publishing house in comics. They've been around for decades, and we're doing a series called The Disavowed. And we're going to be launching the ashcan for that and really showing the first sneak peek of that book. And to the elevator pitch of it, it's like G.I. Joe meets The Boys. Oh. So that's kind of like it's a very like focus on like the 80s nostalgia movement in comics, but like taken from a very gory and adult, mature kind of viewpoint.
That's fantastic. I mean, when I hear that word disavowed, right, like people think Mission Impossible, he's been disavowed, right? So we're talking soldiers, we're talking special forces guys that are so like badass and depraved that they've been disavowed. But they're still going to get the job done, just maybe in a bloody and gory manner. Yeah, I'm all for it, man. That sounds fantastic.
So if you're at Comic-Con, come by our booth. That's really kind of like that's like the really centerpiece of our booth at the show. So we're gonna have some really cool stuff for that.
Yeah, and you know what booth number it is by chance?
2300, right?
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
2300.
2300.
And the crazy cover that Michael was talking about is for that book. So bring your glove if you want to take it home.
Not in a creepy way.
Well, I look forward to it. I can't wait to check it out for myself. Definitely be swinging by, picking up some of those exclusives.
Awesome.
So as we're winding down here, guys, any last thoughts for our audience? Anything else you want to share before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one thing that's we kind of forget to talk about this on some of the things we've done recently is we're putting out a lot of trade paperbacks right now for series that we did in the past. Like, we kind of held off on that for a little while we were focused on monthly releases and really like didn't want to, you know, um, spread ourselves too thin. But now, like, we Quested just dropped. Quested Volume 1 just dropped last month. That's available on, at your comic book shops, Amazon, everywhere you can find a book. Sean Gordon Murphy's Zorro is going to be dropping in August. And we also had Ninja Funk that was collected and put out. It had hit comic book stores, but it had never gone to like Barnes and Nobles or any of the major bookstores. So that's now out wide. So, so folks who want to pick up the full story and not hunt for individual issues, they're going to be able to do that for a lot of books here. Yeah. Anything, Kevin, you could think of you want to plug?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously we just have like the Luchaverse that started. The number one was this Wednesday, so if your shop doesn't have it, probably I'm pretty sure Diamond still have some in stock, so it's you can order. But obviously on MassivePublishing.com, we have everything. I know Michael just said you can have the full story in a book, but we've been really conscious of like trying to have our book available to fan as much as possible. So we still have stock of most of everything we did. Like the not the limited stuff, but like the traditional retail covers are mostly all still available on our website. So if you want to catch up a series, totally possible if you go on massivepublishing.com to drop an order. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll put a link, everybody, to the website where you can go and check it out. Like Kevin said, you can order stuff there. You can check out the series. You can see what's coming up. You can see what has been done before. It's a really cool website with a lot of great stories. It's almost like, man, how full can I get my cart? Like a little bit of a selfish choice.
Well, we're gonna have some cool Massive Select stuff dropping pretty soon here too. Some exclusive covers and partnerships with other publishers that we're working on. So we're gonna keep trying to see is how far we can really like expand on that idea of like really high end collectibles publisher with Massive Select. But yeah, so anyone who's been supporting us too, anyone listening, if you're already a fan of Massive, chime in, tell us the things that you like, tell us the books that are, that you're loving. If there's creators we're sleeping on that you're like, hey, this guy's a great book, send us a link. We're very much like we want to have that feeling of community in and on our socials and at conventions. So come by, say hi at the show. Even you don't got to buy anything, but if you do, you'll be that much cooler. But yeah, no, come by, say hi, and definitely like let us know what you're liking with what we're doing.
Yeah, where is the best place social media wise to reach out? Where are you guys most active?
I think Instagram is probably most of our.
Yeah, mostly Instagram, but we are on every platform posting pretty much every day. So you can reach out everywhere. And of course, but yeah, Instagram is always the first place where we drop the cool stuff. So yeah, Instagram, Massive Publishing. And on Twitter, we are Massive Publish because Elon Musk decided that there's a maximum of characters.
Well, I'll put a link to the Instagram and the Twitter in the show notes, everybody. So if you want to keep up with what Massive has going on, definitely you can follow there. And if you're at San Diego Comic-Con, definitely go by the booth 2300. So, gentlemen, best of luck at the con. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We're all going to be exhausted by...
We appreciate you for highlighting all the cool stuff going on at Comic-Con this year.
Yeah, appreciate it. So, yeah, and to all you listeners, we appreciate you as well. We couldn't do it without this fantastic audience that the Comic Source has. So thanks for joining us as always, and we will talk to you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.